Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. This is our presentation on our meeting scheduler tool for SharePoint. And we'll just begin with some general information and then dive right into our tool. My name is Will Cooper. I am a SharePoint solutions developer, and I build all kinds of different solutions in SharePoint and make use of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem to build all kinds of different things. I have a YouTube channel called SharePoint Smart. Hope you guys will check that out. And then additional to the work I do with Infowise, I have a SharePoint tool called SharePoint Dashboards. And if you stick around after our main presentation, I'll tell you a little bit about SharePoint Dashboards. At Infowise, our philosophy is to make it simple and easy, and we want to keep improving our tools all the time. This is a full solution toolkit available to you regardless of which version of SharePoint you use, and you do not have to do any coding. So there's no programming at all to use our tools, but you can do a lot of custom functionality. I am recording our session and I will post it later today on YouTube if you want to check that out. And more importantly, the tool that I'm going to show, this meeting scheduler tool, you can download it for free as a part of our software. Once you have the Ultimate Forms software installed in your environment, you can download this template and that will be available later today. As I mentioned, our tools are available for whichever version of SharePoint you might be using. I'm going to be showing an example in SharePoint Online today, but this also is available if you guys use on-premise SharePoint. So this is kind of how I think about SharePoint. Out of the box, it's limited. We don't have everything that we want to do to build out full SharePoint solutions. And Ultimate Forms really solves that for you by adding lots of capabilities to SharePoint so that you can build out solutions. We're going to be talking about a meeting scheduler tool, a concept all of us can relate to all the time. We're setting up web meetings and trying to coordinate meeting times with our colleagues. And of course, that can be a little bit aggravating, a lot of back and forth emails. Not very efficient, and so naturally all of us would like to have the ability to do that easily and efficiently. So let's just define what it is that we want to accomplish in terms of scheduling meetings. We need a way that as an organizer, I can select the people that I would like to invite, and I want to give them options for meeting times. You know, I could always just try to schedule a meeting, but if I don't check for availability, then that's going to be a problem because, you know, people are going to have meeting time conflicts. So we need a system that lets the organizer send out this request easily, and we need those guests to get a notification and be able to give back their availability as easily as possible. So we need the organizer to be able to see those responses, and then they can actually schedule the meeting once they know what's going to work best for everybody. And at that stage, we can actually get the meeting invite sent out. And then an additional feature we want, naturally, we don't want people to forget about the meeting, and we want to get an email reminder that's going to go out automatically right before the meeting. So the main thing I would emphasize is it really needs to be easy to do this. Otherwise, it's not going to be a system that's going to work well for the organizer or the guest. So it's got to be easy for the organizer, easy for the guest, and it needs to be totally automated in terms of notification, scheduling, and all of that. So that's what we're shooting for. We're going to go ahead and jump into SharePoint Online, and we're going to go ahead and just walk through this tool and see what it looks like and how it works. I've got a dashboard, and you can see I already have some meetings in process. Some are requested, some are already scheduled. This is our main landing page. So with this tool, a user can go into SharePoint and get a meeting going by just adding a new record. That's going to open up our custom form, and I really want you to especially notice how easy it is to set this up. So I'm going to do a new meeting, webinar planning. So notice it defaulted in my name. all I had to do is put a description for my meeting, and then it says how many guests do you want to invite. Okay, so notice I've got a slider and my form's dynamic. It's going to open up rows for me to enter guests depending on what I pick. And I can just put in my guest names. For my demo, I'm just going to use my own name so I don't bother my coworkers. But naturally, you just put in the names of the people you want to invite. And what I'm going to do here is provide a few options for my guests. So I'm going to go in here. I want to propose some meeting times for next week. So I'm going to give them a few options. I'm going to give them options for Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday next week. And those are going to define right up at the top, so easy for people to understand. I'm not going to do midnight. That's not when people want to meet. So let's pick 9 a.m. for those days and then 10 a.m. for the third one. So here's 3 options I'm picking as the organizer. I've defined my guests, and at this point I can just click send meeting request, and that's it. So hopefully you'll agree that it was really easy for me to propose this meeting to my colleagues. All right, what happens next? They're going to automatically get an email notifying them that you're asking for their availability. So they'll get a meeting invite email, and it's going to look like this. It's going to say you've been invited, here's some options, and we need your response. So they just click the link in the email. Really easy for them to understand. So they click that, and that will take them directly into this form. Now I have used my name in all the rows, but the way this works is it's going to highlight the row for each individual guest, and they can only reply to their own row. So we're going to get an individual response. So it tells them what to do. Select the date and time options that work for you, or if you've got a conflict, you can pick that as well. So it's easy for them. They just hit these toggle switches. They can say, yeah, Wednesday and Thursday will work. Or if they have a conflict, they can select conflict, and then at that point, it's going to show them a text box where they can say, hey, I can't, that's not going to work for me. Can we do the next week instead, or whatever? And then that's going to notify the organizer so that they can maybe revise the options, pick another time, that type of situation. So it's going to give them, the option to say, I can't do any of those. So for the guests, all they have to do is just click a couple buttons and then just hit save response. That's going to automatically trigger an email back so the organizer is aware that they've responded. So the organizer get a little notice. Hey, for this meeting, availability response from such and such user. And again, they can just click on the link. It's going to take them back to the form. So this form becomes really important because this is our real-time updates, what's going on in terms of scheduling this meeting. So let's say we've got our next guest comes in and they say they can do the Wednesday or Friday. And so now we've got a grid, and it shows us kind of the combined availability of everybody. And now as an organizer, I know what their preferences are in terms of availability. And so now I am ready to schedule that. So it looks like option 1's going to work. And as the organizer, I can access this part of the form. The other users are just going to see this in a read-only state. And I just have to click a button. So option 1's going to work. I just click that button. It's going to autofill the date time in for me. Notice it does some things automatically. It's using that date at 9 a.m., but it's going to default to an hour-long meeting. Well, I can override that if I want to. Maybe it's not an hour long. Maybe it's 2 hours long. And then by default, it's going to make the reminder go out an hour before the meeting. But I could change that too. Maybe I want it to go out half an hour before the meeting. I could switch that if I want. So I can override those options. But instead of having me to enter these options, I really just had to click a button and that's all set. And actually at this point, you want to go ahead and paste in your meeting link, and you can put in some description of the meeting just to help people. Okay, and I can do things like highlighting and change the colors if I want to. I've got all kinds of options there. Maybe I want to make it bigger. Okay, so you can just paste in your Teams meeting link there. And that's going to go out in the email. And then at that point, I can do send the meeting invite, and that's going to go out to all my users. Oh, I have some kind of conflict. Okay. So that goes out, and that's going to be scheduled at that point. So I think I had a update. Let me try that one more time. All right, let's try that again. There it goes. Notice that our UI is going to update right away. So the status changed to scheduled automatically. We've got the meeting day prominently displayed along with the date and time. So I'm going to get an email just like you would normally when you schedule a meeting with your colleagues. That's going to be part of it. But additional to that, users could come to this dashboard and they can see all the meetings. This could be especially useful if maybe I have like reoccurring meetings on a monthly basis with a team and I want to schedule these out well in advance. I could use this tool to help me do that. And then if I click on the meeting link, that's going to go directly and just open up that meeting, just the same way as if you clicked on a meeting link in your email. So we've got a lot of flexibility in terms of using this. So this is a really easy way to avoid the back and forth of trying to coordinate with a group of people to schedule a meeting. And it also gives me a centralized place to organize the meetings. All right, so that's our tool from a user perspective. Every organization is a little different. So maybe you want to extend this or change it to accommodate some of your own specific requirements. And that's where this is good. A lot of other options you might have, it's going to be fully canned. You can't configure it to do what you want to do. But with this form designer tool, you have the ability to make that work however you want. So in Ultimate Forms, I can do custom forms for all kinds of business processes. Now I'm going to go into Form Designer and show you how all this works. So I've got my SharePoint list and I just set my fields out onto the form. And then I can do things like add rules to my fields to configure this form to work how I want. So as an example, I want the status to be read-only for most users, but if you're the organizer, you have the ability to update that. So I can put in a rule like this and say, if this is the organizer is the current user, then I will make that write only. So I can do conditional levels of access for different parts of the form. And then I can do things like put in rules into the form to make those weekdays show up, that type of thing. And then I've got all those fields you were seeing which dynamically show or hide depending on options that you pick. So you may want to modify the form to have different options. Maybe you want to do something other than 3 options like I did in my example. Or maybe you want to have the ability to do more than 5 guests. You can modify this form to meet whatever your requirements. And you can style it however you want too. So I have a form with a gray background. If I want to modify the look and feel of this form, I can do that easily. Maybe I want to adjust the summary bar. Right now I've got that set to black background. Maybe I like blue instead. And the content is dynamic as well. Notice it's got the status in there. Well, maybe I want to include the meeting time. That's really easy to do. I can just reference fields by going in here and I can say, let's put in the meeting start. And then I can click up here and add that. And that would dynamically change according to each scheduled meeting. So a lot of versatility available in the form. Email notifications are a big part of this. With these tools, you can do that directly in our toolkit. So I can go under email alerts and you can see I've got a few different rules set up. So the first one is I need to send out an email to all the guests to let them know when a new meeting request is in. And it's going to send that out immediately when an item's added. And this is what you saw in my screenshot earlier. It lets them know they've been invited. And then I have a link back to the edit form. So I can make that email look however I want. And it's easy to understand the trigger condition. It's just whenever a record is added. I've got a couple other ones that I needed. I want to let the organizer know when they get a response. So the organizer gets an email whenever this item is modified when on availability response. And then this is just an email just to give them a nudge and say, one of your guests has replied so they can check progress and know whether they're ready to determine the meeting time. Then the other one was the reminder. In this case, I have it go out before whatever time is set in that reminder field, and it includes the information. Hey, this is a reminder. Your meeting's upcoming. Please send an email if you're unable to attend, and then it's going to have the meeting link and everything in the email. So that'll help avoid a situation where somebody just forgets about the meeting. The actual calendar reservation is created using a special automation we have as a part of Ultimate Forms. And this is a exchange action, and this is what actually creates the meeting. So it just takes all the data from the form, and it's going to create that meeting, including the meeting description and meeting link. That's going to go out to the guests, and it's going to go ahead and send the calendar invite to them automatically, including all the information they needed. And that's just after I send that last button on the form. But all of this information is configurable. You'll be able to go into our tool and download this within the next couple hours. I'm going to save this. It'll be in our solution catalog. So when you're in our main settings screen, you can just go to the solution catalog link, and this will be under the webinars tab. It'll be the first tile that appears. You can see right now is a link to the session that we did last month. You can click that. You'll be able to click in here to install, and you can download the solution exactly as I showed it to you today. Let me go to the meeting. I want to see if you guys have any questions. So if you have any questions, you can post those in the Q&A tool in our webinar, and I'll try to answer any questions about that. This is part of our software, which you can download for free at the infowisesolutions.com site. And it's very easy to get signed up. It's our full software, and you can try it out for 30 days with no limitation. And you can do this template or download other templates or just try out our form building tool. So that's very easy to do. And then also you can look at some other kinds of solutions we have. We have a list of all kinds of different solutions that you can have in SharePoint. Of course, we're doing the meeting scheduler right now, but there's lots and lots of different kinds of things that you can download from our templates, which are available in our site. We have a free training that you can do. It's called Kickstart Training. If you've never used Ultimate Forms, that's a great place to start out. There's a step-by-step guide which will show you exactly what to do, show you how to build your first form, and how to get going with our tools. So that's some great options for you. Do you guys have any questions about this meeting scheduler tool or Ultimate Forms or anything about that? Okay, well, if you do have any questions, just go ahead and post them in the Q&A, and we'll try to get those answered for you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the presentation. I will tell you a little bit about SharePoint dashboards. That is used as a part of this template. So you may notice when I was going through the presentation, there's some things that look different on the dashboard. So you can see this edit button, the picture, some of the formatting options, such as this hyperlink. Those all come from SharePoint dashboards. This is an additional companion tool that you could use in addition to Ultimate Forms, and it allows you to have visual dashboards in SharePoint so that you can have progress indicators, buttons, charting, KPIs, whatever you want. It's a way to visualize your data and make the interface look more appealing to your users. These are templates that you can copy and paste into SharePoint, and there's instructions to the site that show you exactly what to do. like Ultimate Forms, it's free to sign up. If you click on the sign up button, you'll see there is a free option that includes 21 free templates. All you have to do is give your name and email, and you'll have access to the templates that are listed here. As an example, I'll show you the edit button. That's probably one of the easiest and most common ones to sign up or use. I use it a lot. You can just come into our gallery, and if you do a search, I'll go to the edit button and I'll show you how it works. So this just gives you a simple edit button in SharePoint. You can click on it, it will open up your edit form. And in order to use this, you can just configure using this graphical interface however you want. You can pick your own colors, you can pick your own font, you can pick however you want to make that look. That's entirely up to you. And you just do that by clicking it into the interface and picking whichever options you want. Once you do that, you can copy that template and then just paste it directly over to SharePoint, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to install anything in order to use the SharePoint dashboards tools. Currently, there are, I believe, 218 different templates available at the SharePoint dashboard site. You need only a license for the person logging into SharePoint dashboards to apply the template, and that'll give you access, and then you can configure and copy and paste from those options. Another one that was used in here, I believe it's person. Well, there's a person field I was looking for. Maybe it's profile. There it is, profile picture. That's one of the ones I was using here. So this makes a profile picture show up instead of the regular setting. And then when you configure your options, it's automatically going to give you a preview. So you see exactly how it's going to look. You can try different options. You can see how it looks depending on which options you pick. So you know exactly what you're going to get before you apply it into your SharePoint environment. So really easy to use. If you have any questions about SharePoint dashboards or about Ultimate Forms, this would be a great time to post that into our chat. So you can just click on the Q&A button in the presentation, and then you can just type in questions, and I'll try to address those for you. Ultimate Forms is something where you can sign up, and it's comprehensive in terms of the tools that are applied. You don't have to get anything else. It's unlimited in terms of the number of forms that you use, the number of workflow actions that you set up. It's entirely based on user licenses. This can allow you to build any kind of custom forms that you want in your environment. And in additional to that, you can set up full automation for your solutions. So it's a great way to allow you to build any kind of solutions you guys want to do in SharePoint. Okay, well, that concludes our main presentation. I will stick around for a while to answer any questions in case anybody has anything for me. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.